Okay, I don't know what's going on here. I apologize. I had a 15-hour day at work yesterday, and so I don't really feel like dealing with my face today. But in better news, it's like the universe rewarded me for that long day at work yesterday because my favorite local independent bookstore, which is like a 2-minute walk from my apartment, which is insane. Don't ever live that close to a bookstore. It's really dangerous. Has a sale a couple times a year where if you're part of their membership program, you get 20% off everything in the store. And so I have a book haul. Quite a book haul. I've been really good about not buying books lately. I'll buy like one or two at a time and read them immediately, or I've been buying books that I've already read but don't own physical copies of or want nicer physical copies of. And so this got a little out of hand. But I had 3 goals today in the bookstore, and one was to buy a good few books by people of color. Another was to buy more books by women. And the third was to pick up some nonfiction. And I did pretty well with all of those. I got I think I have 17 books, which is insane. In one trip to one bookstore, I bought 17 books. Good. I have 7, I think, are by women, and 7 are by authors of color. And I'm not sure how much nonfiction I got, but I did pretty good in that department too. So while it's not great, I would ideally like it to be either 50-50, or I would like to buy more women and people of color than I do white men. It's a lot better than I normally do when I'm not paying attention to what I'm picking up. So, let me show you the books. The first one I have is The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. I've never read anything by Amy Tan, and I hear she's really great, so I'm looking forward to getting into this. I got this used, but the cover is really cool. It's very pretty, so I'm excited about that. The next one I have is Shantaram by Gregory David Roberts. And I don't know that much about this, and I don't think I want to know that much about this. But I hear it's really epic and really amazing and really beautiful. And it's huge. It's like a little over 900 pages. But I've also been wanting to read something a little longer lately and get involved with something like this. So maybe I'll pick this up soon. The next one I got is a book that I've already read but didn't own a copy of, and that is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. And I don't think I have to say anything more about this book. If you don't know already, I don't know what to tell you. The next book is nonfiction, and that is Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. And I've heard really, really good things about this. It's not the kind of thing I would normally read, but I'm kind of excited about it. I think I'm going to try to be one of those people who reads a nonfiction book and a fiction book at the same time. And I don't normally like reading 2 books at the same time. I can't do it. I get too distracted and I'll never finish anything. But I think I might be able to do it with the fiction and the nonfiction, because I really want to start reading more nonfiction, but it's hard for me to get into it. The next book I got is Bird by Bird, Some Instructions on Writing in Life by Anne Lamott. And this is also nonfiction. It's a collection of essays on writing and life. And I'm really looking forward to this as well. I don't know why I say that I'm really looking forward to all of these books at the end of my little talk about each book. Like, clearly I'm looking forward to reading them. That's why I spent money on them in the first place. I'm going to try to stop saying that. This book I've already read. I love. It's great. It's wonderful. But for some reason, I didn't own a physical copy of it. So now I have a paperback copy of The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde. The next book comes highly recommended from Ashley at Climb the Stacks. And that is Joan Didion's Slouching Towards Bethlehem. I've always wanted to read Joan Didion. And, she's one of those authors that's been on my to-read list for years and years and years. Never picked anything up of hers, and Ashley said that this was a good place to start with her, so I'm really excited about this. And this was the one, when I was checking out the bookstore, the cashier was like, oh my god, that book is so amazing, you have to read it. So, I'm going to do this. The next one was kind of a surprise. It wasn't something I was really looking for, planning on picking up, but this is Quesadillas by Juan Pablo Villalobos. And he is the author of Down the Rabbit Hole. And I just heard somebody talking about that book, and I don't know who it was. So if it was you, please tell me that it was you. And I was looking, I saw his name, and I looked for that one, and I couldn't find that one. But this sounds really good. It's really short. It's a really cool cover. And yeah, it's about a Mexican family, and they're living in Mexico in the 1980s during the revolt against the Institutional Revolutionary Party. So I think this will be really good. The next one I got is an author I've been meaning to read more of forever. That is Toni Morrison's Song of Solomon. I've read Beloved, and I really like these editions. I have Beloved in this edition too, and they all look really pretty lined up next to each other. And I just like the simplicity of the covers. And like I said, I've been meaning to read more Toni Morrison forever. And with my mission at the bookstore today to buy more books by women and people of color, knock this one out of the park here with her. And I really, really want to read this soon because I read Beloved a couple years ago and absolutely adored it, but haven't gotten around to any more Morrison yet. Alright, that was one bag. That bag's empty. I have another bag. A whole nother bag. Alright. I've also already read this, and it's nonfiction. Booyah. This is The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. It is Murder, Magic, and Madness at the Fair That Changed America. This book is so good. It's so good. You should read it. I guess I could tell you what it's about. So this book, the chapters go back and forth between discussing the architects and the designers of Chicago's World Fair in 1893. And then the alternating chapters are the story of the infamous serial killer H.H. Holmes and like the murder palace he built in Chicago during the World's Fair that year. Really interesting stuff here. Really cool. The next one is courtesy of Steve Reed's books, and I will link his review of this below. This is The Story of a Happy Marriage by Ann Patchett. This is a collection of essays on life in general, I'm pretty sure. And I've tried to read an Ann Patchett book before, and I tried to read Bel Canto, and I really couldn't get into it. I ended up giving it away, actually. But I'm going to give this a go, and if I love this, maybe I'll return to her fiction. I'm sorry for that noise. One of my cats is doing something crazy. So I have a rule where I can't buy books by an author if I still have unread books by that author on my shelf. That's like the only rule I abide by that I've made for myself. But I just finished the last unread Murakami book that I already owned. And so I picked up Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World. This will be my 5th Murakami when I get around to it. And I just like to have him on hand because sometimes you're just in the mood for him. I am, at least. I don't know that much about this, but I do prefer to go into Murakami novels partially like blind to what it's going to be about. And I don't think that blurbs really do him any justice anyway, so I'm just going to go into this one not knowing. The next one I got is Amitav Ghosh. Amitav Ghosh? I'm really sorry. I have no idea. Sea of Poppies. This is part of a trilogy, apparently. And I don't know that much about it. I found this used. This is a really heavy, nice, floppy paperback. I really like that. So yeah, don't know that much about it. It is by an author of color, though, and I've seen it around. I think it was nominated for the Man Booker, or won the Man Booker. I'm not entirely sure. But we'll see how this goes. The next one I got is another Erik Larson book, which I have not read. This is In the Garden of Beasts, Love, Terror, and an American Family in Hitler's Berlin. And after reading Devil in the White City this year, I really want to read more of Eric Larson's nonfiction. So I picked this up. It looks like it's going to be awesome. Yes. Okay, only 3 to go. The next one is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings just did an awesome review on this. I think I might read this tonight because it's a decent size, but it's middle grades. So I can probably get through it tonight. And it's October and it's supposed to be really good and spooky. And I need to give Neil Gaiman another go. Next, I have another book that I've already read and adored, and that is Interpreter of Maladies by Jhumpa Lahiri. It's an amazing collection of stories. If you haven't read it already, I highly recommend it. And lastly, this one's was kind of random for me. Every time I go to the bookstore with the intention of buying books, I always try to pick up one book that I haven't heard of before, or one author that I haven't heard of before. And so this is World Made by Hand by James Howard Kunstler. And apparently it was a top 5 2008 fiction pick on NPR's All Things Considered. And I love NPR and All Things Considered, so that's great. And it's a dystopian novel. It's an adult dystopian novel. So this looks really cool, and maybe I'll read this soon because it sounds fun. That's my book haul. I probably won't be doing another one of these until like Christmas. And if there's anything here that you've read and want to recommend to me, please do so in the comments below. And I'll see y'all soon. Bye.